Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici, welcome my friends. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to my channel, and the channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. I've got another Chinese pen for your therapy. Let me tell you, wow, just some gorgeous pens are coming out of that market. Let me tell you, very hard to beat, price-wise, quality-wise. I think the whole community is taking notice. Notice has been sent. They are in the mix, folks. They are in the mix. Now, some of them, unfortunately, we're talking about designs that are not original. They do have a tendency to copy, at least Majon does, and Lemon, another pen maker, also does. And the pen I have for you in this review is really no exceptions, although there are differences. So we can say it's an inspired design, but without any further ado, I'd like to present to you the Lemon M8. Okay, so we're back, and here is the Lemon M8. This pen, first of all, let me just show you, it comes in 4 patterns. You see, it's a metal pen, and this pattern is, they're all wave patterns, and I don't know how to describe this one, but we'll see it on screen just in a second. Here, let me just cut to my computer. You can see you can have it in a W pattern. I think that's what I have. You can have it in what's called a braided pattern. You can have it in a fish scale pattern, and then in another wave pattern, which I think is really the same thing. I don't know what the difference is there. There is a picture of all of them all together. Where is that? Here we go. There they are. Well, let me just get that. Yeah, well, it doesn't want to stay. There it is, the Lemon M8, and you have 4 different patterns, but I think 2 are repeated there, so it really is probably 3, but I don't know what the 4th one is, but there may be a difference there. In any event, there they are, and let's get back to the pen itself. Here it is. Okay, so let's take a look at this pen. First of all, it is metal pen, but it's not a big clunker, if you know what I mean. It is nice. I like the pattern. Very well made, I got to tell you. Take a look at that wave pattern. It does kind of, with the light, you get one dark line, one light line, one dark line. It almost feels like you have a faceted pen in your hand. Very nice. The finial, I'm glad they didn't put a Mont Blanc finial on top like they did with, or try to copy it like they did with another pen that we'll get to see in a few minutes, because let's face it, this is heavily inspired by one of the Mont Blanc pens that I'm going to be showing you in just a second. Very nice, I got to tell you. I really like this pen. Now, when I first got it, it reminded me of a cross pen that I had, which is this one. This is a cross, forget what they call this, but this is a cross ballpoint. And as soon as I got it, I said, wait a minute, I think this reminds me of something, and it kind of reminded me of this one. But there are differences, so we'll put that aside, and that is a ballpoint. Now, camera kind of gives it a, I don't know if it's reflection of light, kind of this purplish red tint. It's not there in real life, I must say. It's just steel silver. Now, in the middle band, you see lemon, manual, made in China. So that's the lemon name. It doesn't have the number M8 anywhere. At least I don't see that. Top finial is rounded off, but it's capped. What it looks like a kind of a black acrylic knob. The bottom finial is just rounded out. It is a piston filler. We'll get to that in a second. How many turns to open this up? That's a half a turn. Whoa, may even be less than one. Let's do that again. Half, 3/4, and yeah, just less than one, which is really nice. We'll get to see that cap in a second. Here is the section. Very well done. I got to tell you, all the machining, the threading here is just so smooth. There is a step here, but it's gradual. In fact, it's a little beveled. You can see it's kind of gradual. You can hardly feel it. It is a piston filler. Let's just maneuver the piston up and down. I haven't filled this pen yet. Very short. No, that's not true. There's quite a bit of turns before it gets to the top, and quite a few turns before it comes down to the bottom. This does not appear, no, this does not appear to come off, but I'm sure this lemon nib does. It is a lemon nib. I love the handmade, I think they call it hand-polished medium nib. There's a little bit of an architect grind there. I think the long blade, or long knife as they call it, is probably a little more pronounced than this one. This one is just right. Plastic feed, nothing special there. The setting there does have notches. I don't know if it needs a wrench to open. Let me just see if I could. I don't want to force it. It may need a little wrench to open it up. As far as comfort is concerned, a little slippery. That metal is a little slippery, but it's fine. There's a little bit of a flare right there, which is nice because it kind of prevents you from going all the way down, but the flare is minimal. With some of these slippery pens, I have a tendency to grab hold at the threading, and the threading is smooth, so you're not going to feel any sharp feeling there at all. There's nothing. Does it post? I'm afraid not, unless I'm not doing something right. Yeah, no, it's, I mean, you can leave it there, but it just falls. It doesn't, so it doesn't appear to be postable, okay? Which is unfortunate because it does go in quite deeply. Now, do I have to just push it in? No, no, it doesn't post. It doesn't post. Let's take a look inside this cap just to see what we see. Oh yeah, we see a nice step there for the sealing of the pen. It does appear to be kind of a plastic insert in all of this. Now, this is, metal to metal, so that should not be a problem at all. It's not, is it going in the metal or the plastic? No, I shouldn't say that. No, it's metal to plastic. People say that over time that may be an issue. I frankly have never seen it be an issue, but maybe it's because we haven't had these pens for long enough period of time to be able to really put it to the test. So there you have it, folks. That's the Lemon M8 with the wave pattern. What I propose now is we take a look at some of the comparisons, and we'll be able to actually compare it to one of my Mont Blanc pens that I think it's probably where it finds inspiration. So we'll be right back. Okay, so here are the pens that I like to compare it to. First of all, here's the subject pen right there, the Lemon M8. This is, I think, the pen that it probably finds inspiration from. This is a Mont Blanc. They call it a Meisterstück Solitaire Vermeil Pinstripe 146. Essentially, you could see that the clips are quite similar. The center band, there are some differences. This is pinstripe. This is a wave pattern. It is a little bit shorter, or the Mont Blanc is shorter than the actual subject pen. So there are differences, but I think that's where it may find some inspiration. This is the Lemon M6, I believe, which is kind of this is the one where they copied a little bit because it only has 5 points as opposed to 6. This is the Little Prince. This is the Majon TI 136. So this is the titanium version of this one, which is the P136, which are supposed to be inspired and really the same size as your Mont Blanc 146. I don't have the classic black Mont Blanc 146, believe it or not, because I have it in this vermeil pinstripe model. This is the Asvine J16, and you can see that even the J16 is just slightly longer. But there you have it. That's a comparison of the pens capped. Here are the pens uncapped. Now the major difference that you'll see uncapped, and that I forgot to mention early on, is that all of the other pens all have in one way or another an ink window. The Lemon M8 has no ink window, and yet it's a piston filler. So that may be a determining factor for some of you. Frankly, I would not hesitate to get a pen that I like otherwise because it doesn't have an ink window. Be very, very frank with you. The ink runs out, it runs out. I usually have a bottle with me wherever I go. So I never see that as a major issue, but some of you might consider that as a deal breaker, so to speak. There's a lemon nib there. There's a lemon nib here. There's a lemon nib here. This is a Yowo nib, and this is a Majon nib. Of course, this is 18 karat, and the rest are all steel. I really would have liked on this pen this dew-toned lemon nib. I think I have extra. I might just replace it just aesthetically. I know that all silver works just fine, and maybe some of you might even prefer it, but I don't know if you could see this, but I really like this this nib when it's kind of a dual toned. So nice. The pattern is done so well. It's a fun nib to see when you're writing, put it this way. But there you have the pens uncapped and unposted. Now, I'm not going to do a comparison, just thought about it, of pens posted, just because the subject pen doesn't post. But to let you know that my Mont Blanc posts, my T136 posts barely, my Asvine posts barely, and my P136 posts just fine, and my Little Prince Mont Blanc Lemon M6 barely. So other than, I would say, the P136 and the Mont Blanc, the rest are kind of clunky posters, I would say to you. They're not the greatest posters in the world. So no big loss from the fact that this doesn't unfortunately post. Okay, so there you have the pens posted, and we'll do some measurements, and then we'll do that writing sample. Be right back. Okay, so we're back. In terms of the ink that I've chosen, I'm going to take a chance. I just recently swatched this ink in one of my recaps, Stars in Autumn by Waringle. There it is. It's right there, actually, right there, the top one. I don't know if you could see the shimmer on this thing. It's silverish. Particles appear to be really fine, and I just like the color, kind of a grayish, silverish blue. It's a lot more silver than appears on camera. I'm going to give it a go and see what happens with this pen. So we'll link that up, and we'll be right back. In fact, for the paper, we're going to be using my original Tomo River paper notebook. In fact, we'll do the writing sample right there. So we'll ink this pen, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. Sorry about that big drop there, but I figure it looks really nice. We'll leave it there. We'll see if it bugs me when I write. But okay, so this is the lemon, M8 in the wave pattern. The nib is a lemon hand polished medium. The ink Waringle. Yeah, some of you mentioned that be nice once in a while to use a shimmering ink. Waringle Stars in Autumn. And it is autumn, at least here in Montreal, Canada it is. There we go. Now, in terms of smoothness, very smooth. In fact, in terms of smoothness, I would give it 9.5 on 10. Just a tiny hint of feedback, because it is a, it is an architect grind there, depending on, the cross strokes or vertical or horizontal. Wetness, very wet. Softness, there's a little bit of a bounce, sometimes when the nib is so smooth and wet, you get the sensation that it's soft because it's kind of swimming in that ink. But put it this way, this is not stiff. It's not a nail, not an absolute nail, okay? Like some Chinese nibs, or, for example, a Bach fine nib, I find is horrible. Okay, what else? Fast writing. So, constant or consistency. Yeah, not a problem. I mean, very, this nib doesn't skip. It just doesn't skip. And I'm glad, because I was going to put it up against the TI 136. I got one of those nibs in here, which I love, and makes this pen all the much better in my view. And I was going to compare it, but you know what? It's very comparable. There's no point. It's exactly the same. What else I need to look at here? Reverse writing? No. I'm going to stop right there. Now, in terms of line variation, you will get it because, there is some line variation, but it's not as pronounced as I would have expected, given that that's just because it's a very slight architect grind on that thing, just a little nibbage there, a little bit. It's not as pronounced as the long knife, I've got a feeling. I think one of these days I'm going to maybe order the long knife from Lemon. I may have one in one of my pens, but I'm not sure I remember which. Now, what else do we need to look at? I think we've covered pretty much all our bases. Let's look at likes and dislikes. By the way, I don't find that section slips. Is it because my hands are just humid and, as right now? But I'm very comfortable, very comfortable. So likes, I'm going to say the design. I like the design. Very classy, office type of design. I like the material. I guess materials because so far it's a well-built pen. So materials and build quality is very nice. The nib is, in my view, 10 on 10. Very nice nib. Okay. Value, what's it going at these days? Let me just take a look at the most recent. It's $41. So in terms of value, it's 41 Canadian. So, it's like almost less than $30 US. So the value is there. Is this a go-to pen? Absolutely. Yeah, I would give it a 10 on 10. Do not hesitate to have this pen in an office setting or as a workhorse. I think it would work just fine. Dislikes, not that it matters to me, but it can to some. No posting. And no ink window. Now, they don't provide a wrench to open that up. I've got a feeling that some of our other wrenches that we have would probably fit. And I apologize. I never like to dismantle my pens that way because I'm not good at it. And I don't want to ruin the pen right off the bat. I may end up dismantling it and showing it to you in maybe one of my recaps. But I do want to get some mileage in before I venture out, start using all kinds of tools for that and for the removing of the nib. Right now, I feel no need to swap this nib. On the contrary, I find myself taking these nibs and swapping others. So, I'm not going to dismantle it further. I'm sure there might be some other reviewers who are going to show you how to dismantle those pens. But, you've seen one, you've seen them all. It's basically standard. I just wasn't provided with a key. So I'm going to say no key. I just got my, we saw that Asvine V800 comes with gaskets and a key to open it up. So why not? But Lemon chose not to. So there you have it. I think overall it's a go. Again, these reviews are not meant to sell you the pen. They're meant to review pens that some of you may be looking at and wondering, what is that? Is it worthwhile? I think so. So I would recommend it. It's an A+ for me. It's a very nice pen. Very nice pen. There you go. Lemon M8. How can you beat this? $40 Canadian. Delivered at your door. I mean, great nib, piston filler, substantive in materials. Really nice. This wave pattern is really nice. Classy looking. Wouldn't hesitate to, use this pen in a office or, boardroom setting, or any setting for that matter. Very, very nice. It is a metal pen. Some of you might say, I don't like metal pens, but it's not a clunker. It's a nice metal pen, and not a clunker in my view. There is some weight, and you've seen the weight measurements that I put up. But if you don't like metal pens, then this is not for you. But if you don't mind them, something to consider at that price. I mean, I think the nibs go for like $15, $20 if you want to buy them. So, you know what? You get a pen with it for $20 more. It's a deal. There you have it, folks. I recommend the Lemon M8. Ciao. Please subscribe. One of my goals is to try to get to 10,000 by the end of the year. We're in October. We've got October, November, and December. 3 more months. It would be really nice if I can get to 10,000. Really nice. I think I'm around 8.2, 8.3 right now. The time of recording of this video. Be really, really sharp if by the end of the year I can get to 10. It's going to be tight, but one never knows. But that's just ancillary. Just ancillary. Just enjoy your pens. I hope you enjoyed the review. Be good. And if you play some golf, I'm playing some golf. I'm going to show you a picture of one of the holes that I was on this morning. It's autumn day, but it's like 23 degrees, 24. Tomorrow it'll go up to 28 here in Montreal. We're going to enjoy the next week. I think we're going to have great weather. It's what we call up here Indian summer. You get this wave of heat in the months of October. Sometimes we get in November. People will say it's only in November that it becomes an Indian summer. But you know what? We're enjoying it. The leaves turn, as you can see from this picture of one of the holes at my club. And, man, we're enjoying it. So, what more therapy do you need? Golf and fountain pens. Ciao.